are extremely pleased that you are here.
I just, I have so many things, but the most important thing is that I just want to say thank you to Esther, because you have changed my life. You know, I have searched since I was very little for the whole meaning of like what God is, and I never understood it. Like, you know, we always like, okay, here's the prayer. Everybody in my family prayer. We're Hispanic, so for example, last night my grandma went to the hospital for she had a stroke, and I'm trying to make peace with something. I hope you can help me. She had a stroke, and the priest came in, and he wanted to see if everybody wanted to pray together. And I was very like, you know, like, get away from me. And it's because I feel that I am so faithful to Abraham. Like, I am so faithful to Esther's voice that I don't want to hear anything else. You know, it bothers me. Like, one time Oprah was talking about you, and which I love Oprah. Please, oh God, you're recording. Which I love Oprah, and I watched her shows for so many years. But in a little piece of YouTube, she said something like, Abraham is good, but there, what did she say? Something about, oh, it's just that they believe, and just like believe it and it'll happen. And life doesn't work like that. So since then, every time Oprah's on, like I guess what I'm trying to understand, I wanna make peace and not give a shit about whatever people's beliefs are on my own.
So this is the perfect conversation to help us make the point that we really want to make here today. We've sort of been taking a stab at it from a lot of different directions, but it's the perfect opportunity to acknowledge that. So there is this religion's way of saying it, and that religion's way of saying it, and that non-religious way of saying it, and that spiritual teacher's way of saying it, and that therapist's way of saying it, and that mother's way of saying it, and that mother's way of saying it, and that mother's way of saying it. And so many people, sort of like what you were just demonstrating, feeling competition about the difference in the way that they're saying it. That's that sort of practical, physical, human approach that we were talking about earlier. But underlying all of that, there is a desire to uplift, which is this universal thing. There is this desire for the world to be a better place. There is this standing where I am and doing the best that I can do from where I stand. On the other end of all of those sticks, there is source energy. That's the palette that we were describing, all of which is of benefit. Esther was not religious in nature as she was growing up. While she was exposed to religion, she wasn't having any of it because her father was not part of the religion that her mother was part of, and the religion her mother was part of then proclaimed him not worthy of things because he wasn't part of that religion, and she knew that couldn't be right. She knew from her own experience that this man was as good as it gets, and if those people were proclaiming him not good, then they must not know. Well, that was a really wonderful beginning for Esther to think about these subjects, because it made her allow her own resonance and her own reasoning. It encouraged her, or sort of pointed her toward letting her own guidance system, letting her know how things were going. And so as Esther's been then in an environment like this for so many years, with so many of you coming with a variety of questions, and lots of people talking about lots of things, and lots of religions being discussed too, what Esther has discovered, that there is harmony between Abraham and every religion. Esther is discovering that at the beginning of what most of those were was someone connecting with what this is. But then as time goes by, people want to put it into all of those categories instead of staying right at the basis of who you really are. What it really comes down to, this is a good way of saying it, relative to prayer. If you are offering a prayer of appreciation, So you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Well, you are then in sync with that source energy that you are holding as your object of attention, and you are powerful in such a prayer. But if you are in a place of really needing something, if you're feeling desperation or fear, and from that place you are offering your words, then you're amplifying your problem. You're not in a place of receiving your answer. And so that's what your guidance was saying to you. Your guidance wasn't saying these people are wrong because of the religion that they hold. Your guidance wasn't saying these people are in the wrong pile. Your guidance was saying they're not under the influence of source right now. They're under the influence of fear, or they're under the influence of what they don't want. You see what we're getting at? If you can grasp this important understanding that source, or what you want to think of as source, is not looking into the variety of humanity and taking sides against anyone. Source energy is taking the side of everyone. And that doesn't compute with humans, because you want to think, well, if they're on the side of the person that I'm against, then they're not on my side. No, it isn't that way. It's that all of you get to ask for what you want, and source is flowing for 100% of what you're asking for. And it's only when any of you pinches yourself off from your own resources that you deprive yourself, and then you want to blame it on somebody else when it's all about. In other words, things really are equal. It's about how much of it that you are allowing in. Just think about your own experience and the way it feels to you as you were describing the resonance that you're feeling with some of what you're hearing, or most of what you're hearing, or maybe all of what you're hearing from Abraham. Just think about what that feels like and what it means. What it means is your perspective of what you're hearing is in complete resonance with your own inner being. It's not putting a stamp of rightness on what you're hearing. It's putting an emphasis of alignment between you and you. And when you are in alignment with who you are in your full power. When you get out of whack with who you are, then you are depleted in that. This alignment that we are encouraging you to work for through meditation and through thoughts that feel better and thoughts that feel better and thoughts that feel better, it's not just alignment so that in this moment there is clarity. It certainly is that. It's not just alignment so that in this moment there is power to create whatever you want. While it certainly is that, it's at its most replenishment. It's you filling up your tank so that the thoughts that you flow toward others are never diminished. If you are praying for someone who you feel is in need, and you put your attention upon the need that they have, then you are not in the tuned in, tapped in, turned on category, and you are not replenishing. So while your prayers are flowing outward, and therefore are of benefit, because your well wishes are always of benefit, they're not backed up with this awesome power of non-resisted thought that we've been talking about all day here today. And if you do enough of that, if you pray out of need for enough people, you will become so deplenished, you will become so without energy that then you will come to not believe in your faith while your faith was real. Does that make sense to you? You have to find a way to keep yourself in that restoring mode. That we're not asking you to tune in so that you can be the avenue through which the wishes of the world can be granted. That's not the point of this at all. We're asking you to tune in because nothing else is normal for you. We're asking you to tune into clarity because confusion is not who you are. It sucks, and you should not endure it even for a moment.
I can feel it because I listen to you constantly. Like you have no idea. Like I'm in the bathroom. I'm listening to you. Like I'm driving. Driving's my favorite thing to do. So I listen to you like constantly. So I get it. It's just frustrating to hear other people, because I feel so faithful, and I don't want to be one of those freaky people that follow me in my religion.
All right, we're just going to say it to you. You're not faithful to us when you're upset with them, because we're not upset with them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.